Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing okay. As good as you can be, right? I understand week 2 of the semester. Yeah, I understand. I went to school for many years, so it gets hectic sometimes, but you know, you get through it. And at the end, it's a good investment. So hang tight. You're doing good. So after I got my bachelor degree, I worked for, I want to say 3 years. And then there was an incentive to go for a master's degree because I was convinced to come back into teaching. And so I went and did an 18 months master program. And then after that, I took 3 months off, and then I went for my PhD program, which took me 5 years and some months, close to 6 years. But at the end, after all the student loans, I felt like it was worth it. So I encourage you to finish your degree. If you don't want to get into graduate school, get a good job, right? And then look to improve your skills. But I encourage you to also get your graduate degrees. And then down the line, maybe close to when you're not so busy, you can come back and give back to the community, come back and teach. So we are going to do lab 2 today. I'll go through the explanation. I'll run my program. I'll explain what we're going to be doing. So if you can download lab 2. So I'll put that in chat as well.
Hello, Professor.
Hi.
I was wondering if you set up the video from the last session.
I thought I did. Let me double check my channel right now. I uploaded to YouTube to get captioned, so it's fast. Let's see. Unit 7 lab. Yeah, I posted it on YouTube. Let me see if I link it to the module. Yes, it's on there. It says 82720. So if you click on module and if you go to the second module, which is unit 1, it's right above the lab 1 exercise link. So it's its own page. I set up a lot of things in pages so that way, you know, it's visible on module. So if you look at unit 1 module, you would see it. It's next to the last item on that module. So you click it and then you'll find. So on Zoom, you have to put in the access code. And then on YouTube, you just watch the YouTube. There, you know, AI mostly hit everything. I need to go back and correct some of the caption, but you know.
Is that the video for
Lab
this
1.
Tuesdays?
Oh, the last one? Let me see if I did the last one. Oh, you're right. So let me link that real quick before we start. Thank you. Sometimes.
Thank you.
I usually don't forget, but I might have been busy that day or something right afterwards, but let's see. Zoom recording, and that was the Tuesday, which was the 1st. No problem. So I'll drop in the Zoom one first, and then I'm uploading the one from yesterday now to YouTube for my Python and my forensic class. So once that get done, I'll add the YouTube one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I had to upgrade my Zoom cloud account because I have a 4-hour class on Saturday and it's like 1.3 gig in video. So Zoom sent me an email saying that, you know, I'm limited to cloud space for video storage. So as of late, I have to upgrade monthly access to cloud video. Let's see, I'm gonna copy this. Okay, you save the page and then I will publish it for you. Let's check this. All right. So tonight video will go on either after the session. It takes Zoom about a couple hours to give me the cloud video, and then it takes YouTube about at least an hour to get that ready. So if you don't see it tonight, check it tomorrow. I don't teach classes tomorrow, but I generally do administrative work tomorrow for the department. And then I teach on Saturday. But you guys have no school on Monday. All right. So let's get started. So welcome back. We're doing lab 2 today. So what we're going to do is we are going over the exercises. I'll explain what we're going to be doing, and it's going to tie to our concepts that we talked about on Tuesday. And thank you, Lachelle. So what we're going to be doing is, yes, I am teaching CIS7 and I do LC3, maybe ARM, so we'll see. So check out the spring schedule. We're working on it right now. So in lab 2, we are going to program our operators. We talk about logic gates this week. So that way you get a little bit more understanding on how C++ works with operator. And then I'll introduce some new little stuff in there as we go. Sometime you will learn a little bit about a different STL, like a different library. Like next week, we're going to talk about sets. And so we're going to use sets. And along with that, we're going to use a little bit of array and such. So I'll walk you through each of the exercise if you already gone ahead and done it, right? A lot of the times I simply need screen capture, and if it asks for you to answer the questions, make sure you answer the questions. And I just need one document with screen capture on the document, so you don't have to upload so many screen capture. I know that can get very tedious. So in Windows environment, when you do screen capture, you can use Alt button on your keyboard and print screen. That takes the active window, meaning that if you are looking at Visual Studio program, it's going to take that active window capture. But if you just hit print screen, it takes the entire screen. So if you don't intend for me to see other things on the screen, then don't do just print screen. Now on the Mac OS, I know some of you are using Mac OS. I included a link on the lab document on how you can use like command and short keys to take capture on Mac OS. So make sure you check that out. And you can always use snipping tool. Like in Windows, you can use the little scissors to snip that part of your screen. That's fine too. However you wanted to do it, I just want you to be able to write your code, see that you write your code and you have an output. Okay, that means that I could see that you ran it correctly. So this is not a true programming course where we would have to go over the basic like variable and such, but we will touch a little bit on programming and then we'll tie it to the math concept. So I'm going to go into screen share. Please let me know if you have questions, ask, unmute and ask, because sometimes I don't flip back and forth on chat when I get carried away, and it could be that I'm just single task minded at that point. So, okay. Now I had a few email coming in asking, you know, what IDE should I use, right? And if you're comfortable with Visual Studio, Community is free. I know at the school they have Visual Studio, NetBeans, Eclipse, install all of those IDE for you, but you can obtain Visual Studio Community for free, and it comes with C++ packages. If you plan to use it for other languages, you just have to bring in those language package. Now, I don't mind if you're using whatever IDE as long as you can write your program basically in the text editor part of the IDE, build your program, run your program, and so that way you can understand what we're talking about as far as the math concept incorporated with programming. So we're working on lab 2, which is the Bitwise. Let me open my document and let me zoom in so you can follow along. So in the first exercise, it began with talking about Bitwise Operator, and you might have done something similar to this in your programming classes. But since we've been working with binaries, I thought that this would be a good exercise for you to understand a little bit more about how operators would work and that in C++. So the example program gives you A is 60 and B is 13. And those are in decimal values. Then we have converted into the binary. So you would see the 0 and 1 values there for A and B, for 60 and 13. Then we would use the ampersand to indicate that this is the operator which is AND. So when you have 60 and 13, right, it's going to produce an output which is 12. Just like what we did in the assignment, if you line them up and if you AND them, you should get, you know, a binary value which converts back to 12 decimal. And you can check using your programmer calculator. Then on the second column on the right here, okay, we have A or B. So in this case, we have 60 or 13. So if you have the binary values written out and you OR them, right, you should get a 61. Okay, and the OR, we use the pipe. That line down is called a pipe. Okay, now on this one, this is the exclusive OR, and we touch on exclusive OR. You saw the truth table. So exclusive OR copies the bit. It says that if it is set to the one operand but not both. So what it does is it copies that bit, and the output of exclusive OR is similar or the same as the output for addition in binary. So if you take 60 and if you do XOR with 13, then you should get 49 as the output. So on the next part, so exclusive OR is this one. And then we use the tilde to indicate that this is the complement. And going back to week 1, right, some of you were checking your 2's complement when you add it back and you asked, well, there's an extra 1 to indicate. So this is why you would see. So when we have tilde A or when we have the complement of A, which gives you negative 61. Why is it not negative 60? Well, remember in the 2 complement that we actually added that 1 to use it as the negated symbol or negative sign to tell the system that it is a negative value or a signed value. So when you issue this into the compiler, what it's going to do is going to take your decimal value, convert it to binary, and it's going to operate the complement, right? The ones complement operator, which is unary. So not necessarily the same equivalent as not. What that does is that it has that one addition to indicate that it is a complement. Okay, and this is how the computer understands what complement value would be. Okay, so we would use the tilde, the wiggly sign, for our complement operator. Then if you have the shift operator, you can have it shift value to the left or the right. So the first shift here, what we did was we shift A with the 2 bits to the left. So if you look, right, 60 is this right here, okay? So it's simply shift these 2 to the left 2 bits, okay? So it's gonna move these 2 to the left, and then it's also gonna move these 2 to the left. So everything gets shifted to the left. So the 1 1 here is going to jump over here, and then the 2 of the ones here move over to its place, and the 0 0 move over to the 1 1 place. So it moves everything 2 places to the left. Okay, so that's the arrow left. Okay, then if we shift right, it does the same thing. So on going the opposite way. So if we're doing a shift right for the 60, basically we're shifting everything to the right, so you're going to end up with 15 because the last 4 bits are ones. Okay, so when you issue these operators into your compiler, what it's going to do is it's going to understand what the instruction would mean, and in the back, right, if we're shifting, we're just shifting all the 2 bits to the right or shifting the 2 bits to the left, and the equivalence value gets converted back into the decimal. That's what we would have as output. So I use online compiler, REPL.it, and Replit, basically it stands for read, edit, and play, and it's used for many different languages, so you can choose the language to use. Now, if you create an account, it lets you store your program online on the cloud, and then you can always go in and you can always download, right? Or you can share your program. You can also add files, so when you take C++ and if you have to create files like a text file from your program, it would also appear here. Okay, so I'm going to close the left panel so that way you can see a little bit better. So just to take a look at this program, basically we got a little bit of understanding on what kind of operator we're using. So everything is in main, and you would start the C++ program with include IO stream. That allows us to have what? Input and output, right? So C in and C out. Now you want to have using namespace std there. That's just the standard for C++. So in the main function here, what I have is I have the declaration of the variable A, right? And we give it the decimal value 60. And in your assignment, you actually have to do PQ, right? And your result is R. So you just have to change up your variable name. And if you're thorough, you can use your calculator to do the conversion, or you can do it manually, so you can comment it. And the comments are used here to show you what is the equivalent value in binary, so you can see. So we have the A as 60, and then we also declare variable B, and we assign it the 13 decimal value. And then we initialize result at 0, because as you go through, it's going to have to store your result, so that way we can bring it into the cout to show our output. So the first operator, as we talked about earlier, we're using the ampersand for the and. So we basically take 60 and 13, and then we output the result. So we see it out. And for human, that's important because we wanted to know what value is output, right? The computer is still going to calculate. So if you don't put C out, it's still going to calculate and it's going to store it in result. But we wanted to see what it is, so we want to do a C out on that. So basically, you're going to write the statement with each of the operator, and then you're going to output it, right? And that's why if we run this, so this is what we would have as an output. It tells us when we use the and, A and B is 12, A or B is 61, and so forth. Okay, so this is how you would use the operator in C++. Now, any question as far as, the program, the example program? So what you can do is you can use the example one. I try to screen capture that with the output page. And I modified this over time. So in the past, I didn't give the student the code. But you can use this as a template and build it on, to just look at it and then modify the program so that way you would apply it for the requirement. So here's the requirement. So you are given P with 40 as a decimal value and Q is 17. You are to write the program to have P and Q, P or Q, right? P XOR Q, right? Complement. And then I want you to do a complement of P and Q. So if you have the result here, you can actually bring it down. It's the same as the result from step A. And then the complement of P or Q. And then here we're going to shift 3 places of P to the left, and then we're going to shift 3 places of P to the right. So your program is a little longer. We have 2 additional requirements here, and then there's some changes in the value and the shift. Okay. So you can go back to the screen capture example. I know it's small and you can increase the size there. Or you can use this, okay? And you can use Visual Studio, Online Compiler, whatever you like. Okay, so make sure that we have the proper STL at the top, right? And in this one, we just need the IO stream, so we don't need anything else beyond that. Okay, so a little bit different than the example program that you have some additional there. Oh yeah, there's one right here. So you can follow this. So instead of A or B, you can use P or Q. Instead of result, you're going to use R. And then instead of shift 3 or 2, you would shift 3 and then assign it at different values. You can follow that as a template. Any question? So once you built the program, what you can do is you can run it. Give me the screenshot for your code and your output for the first exercise. Now just watch out for syntax, right? So if it's throwing error, it means that maybe we mistype something. And if you're using Replit, it's or REPL.it, it uses C++11. And if you have all the updates, if you're using Visual Studio Community, it might use 17 or even earlier, like 14. But they are currently working on version 20. So when you choose your online compiler, look for the type, the version of C++ they're using, and that kind of tell you the features and the STL, because sometimes they would have new library that's included in the later version, so you can compare the version. So this is very simple and straightforward. Any question? Don't forget the proper syntax. Okay, like curly brace, make sure that it pairs up, return 0 at the end. So just simple basic structure for C++ program. And we do everything in main there, so nothing as, creating function or anything right now. So I'll give you a little bit of time to kind of get that written, and then I'll move on to the next exercise. And if you are already done with the first one, you can also move on to the next one. If you have any questions, you can ask. So for exercise 1, we simply use the example template, and we would use the value that's required. Okay, and then we would use the operator and have our output. Everyone okay? Any question?
Yes.
Professor,
Go ahead.
Yes, question.
Professor, could you go back on the previous screen again with the code?
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can also stretch the screen capture that I use on the lab document to make it larger, because it's an image file, so that's added, so you can change it to make it larger so you can see. I just try to fit it nicely on one page, but you can make it larger so you can see.
Did you want us to include the comments with the binary next to it?
If you like to, if it helps you, sure, right? That basically just, that allows you to check, but it is a calculator, so it should give you the right output. However, if you want, you can. I'm not going to require the comment, but comment is good if you wanted to verify the value. Other questions or no? Okay, we're okay with 1?
Hi, Professor. Do I need to turn it after class?
Let me see what I did for the due date on this. I open it, I actually put the due date for September 5th, but if you're finished with everything for the lab today, you can submit it early. The reason why I did it a little bit different this semester compared to last semester for CIS7 is that some students take a little bit longer to write the program and going through the program. So before I used to require it right after class, but yes, if you can turn it in today. If not, just turn it in by the 5th, which is 2 days from now. So before Saturday, and then that will be on time. Okay. But if the student turn in like, a little bit after Saturday, I usually don't deduct that much. But if it's a week late, then I would deduct, or more, then I would deduct based on my policy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So in about a minute or two, I will move on to the next one. And they're pretty short this week. So, but as we get to more complex concept, we will have longer program. Like search algorithm, sort algorithm.
Can you explain the last 2 operators again? The binary right and
So the binary shift right and left. So
yes.
here is 60, right? So 60 is 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. So when we do the shift to left, it's gonna bring everything from the back here and it's gonna move it 2 places. So the 1, 1 goes here. Let me get it to the document so it's easier to see. Okay, so 60 really is represented in this, right? But technically, if you put this 60 conversion into the calculator, it's going to drop the 0 in the front. Okay, so when you shift left 2 places, it's going to start with, it's going to take everybody starting from these 2 here. This one, the 1 right here. So the 1 gets moved 1, 2 places. So it brings everybody 2 places to the left. So it becomes, right, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Because starting from here, right, you're going to move 1, 2. And then this one, 1, 2. And then this one, 1, 2. And then this one, 1, 2. And then the 0, 1, 2. And then 1, 1, 2. So it moves everybody to the left 2 places. Now, when you shift right, it does the same thing. So if you start with this, right, it's gonna move it's gonna drop the 0. It's gonna move the 1 here, 1, 2 place. So that would be, if you're looking at the rightmost, so that would be the 1 gets moved here, the 1s get moved here, the 1s get moved to those places, and then the 0 gets moved to the 1's places. So it moves everybody right 2 times. So you end up with, and it shows you that with the shift down here, okay, you end up with the 1s in the back, and it adds the 0 in the front. Okay. So basically you do this. This gets moved over here. And then again, so one place and two place. And then the one next to it moves over one place and then two places. And then it would continue with all of the other ones in the front when it's doing the shift right. Are we okay with that? Any question?
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. So you can use the arrow right on your keyboard. If you do a double, it knows that it's going to do a shift either way. And then if you the value following that is going to be the placement of it. So if you want to shift 5 times, then it's gonna do it 5 times. Each digit, it's gonna move it 5 times. Let me see. Okay. So we did the first one, number 1. We did the screen capture of the program output and our code. In the second one, this is for Bool. And Boolean variables are, it's either going to give you true or false. And true is 1 and false is 0. And Bool is a type, right? So this is a data type. And when we use this data type, it's either going to give you true or it's going to give you false. Okay. Now, there are several ways that we can do this with the Boolean variable. Okay, so if you're saying here in this example, if it's saying that B1, it's initialized at true, okay, then you can also do direct initialization by putting it into the parentheses of the bracket here as false. So B2 would be false, right? Or you can do uniform initialization, and that would only work with C++ 11 and up. Then you can put it inside the curly braces to initialize the value. So basically I'm saying B3 is true, but it's just a different way of initialization. So if we're doing direct initialization, we would put it into the parentheses or the bracket. If we do uniform initialization, we would put it in curly braces. Or we just simply do assignment, we can have it bool B3 or B3 is false as assignment. So this is just different ways, right, of how we would write it from initialization to assignment, okay? And we would use the bool type. So now, a little note that I put here is that, you know, how we would use the negative in for the integer, we can use the logical not to flip the Boolean value. So if you do a not true, of course it's going to output false, right? It's the opposite. So when we say when something is not true, then it is false. When something is not false, then it is true. So to make it the opposite for the bool type is when you would use the not operator, which is the exclamation point. So in this example, we would have bool B1 is not true, right? Here's the not operator and then true. So that means that B1 has the false value. And then for B2, we have bool B2 is not false. And this is a direct, right, initialization. Still it does the same thing, right? Then it would have a true value because it's not false. Okay. Now it says that Boolean values are not actually stored in Boolean variables such as word true or false. Instead, it's usually using 1 and 0, right? So when you run the program, the second example, you're going to get 1 or 0, 1 for true and 0 for false, because that's what the computer store in the back, right? It evaluates 0 as false and 1 as true. So for my second example, let me go back to my folder. So we simply create a program that's going to print out 0 and 1s, right? Basically, it evaluates what is true or false. Okay. And so let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so here's the program. And notice that I'm using std cout here because I didn't put using namespace std at the top. So you can do either way. This way you have to include it in every line. So we have a main function. We simply tell it in the first line here that display or print true. Okay. And what that does is the computer is going to say, oh, true is 1. Okay. So instead of printing the format true, the word true, it's going to print us 1. That's equal to true. Okay. Now, when we say cout not true, it's going to print 0. That's because it's false. So it evaluates false to 0. Okay. So you can simply just say cout true, and then it's going to say 1. Cout not true, it's going to display 0. Now here, what we did was we did the direct initialization with the bool type, and our variable is b. Oops, sorry, I'm clicking. Then we're saying that b initialize false. Okay, then we're gonna have it cout what's stored in b, which is false, and so it evaluates that to 0. So that's the third one over here. Now we would do the same thing, but we would apply the not operator. So it would say cout not b, then it evaluates, right? True, which is not false, to 1. So that's why you get the 1 here. Okay. So this gives us a little bit more understanding on how to utilize, right, bool in C++ and the not operator with it. So with that, okay, for 2, it says below example. Sorry for the confusion there. So what you're going to do is you are going to use this example. What I want you to do is, instead of doing true, not true, I want you to do false, not false to start. And then following this template. Then what you're going to do is you're going to use the bool type and then make a bool variable. You don't have to use b, you can use anything you want to call it. And then in the direct assignment or direct initialization, I want you to put true inside the parameter here, right? And then you're going to see that out, and then you're going to cout not true, which is not, and then the variable name. Okay. So go the opposite for the program that you need to screen capture to turn in. Any question? So your output, right? Your output would be 0, 1, okay? And then 1, 0. Any question? Just a few lines, not too bad, right? And if you like, you can comment. Let me fix this. So if I teach CIS7 again, I upload so it doesn't confuse the student. Any question? Okay. Anybody need time on this one? Okay, so next, for the next one, we're going to talk about Boolalpha. Okay, I thought it would be cool to introduce this here for you, and so you can see. So earlier we saw in the second exercise that it prints 0 and 1, right? But what if we want to print it as the string true and the text string false? We want to take the 0 and say that 0 is false and 1 is true. Okay. So similarly, but that we can actually see out, right? So here in this program, you can see that in the main, I have it see out true, which gives me 1. That's the first right here. Then we see out false, it gives us 0. Now, unlike the last one, what we did was we have it see out and we would use Boolalpha. Okay. This function, this works as an operator. What it does is it format 1 and 0 to true and false. Okay. So what we do is we would print bools as true or false by using Boolalpha, and this is a built-in for C++. So on line 10 here, we would have cout true. So instead of printing 1, because we use Boolalpha, it's gonna evaluate that, and then it's gonna format to true. And then on the next one, we have it see out false, right? And it's gonna take the 0 and it's gonna format that for false. Okay, so instead of printing 1s and 0, we can use boolalpha to give us true false in text. Okay, so let me run the program for you so you can see. Now what I did here, right? I see out true, it gives me 1. I see out false, it gives me 0. I have boolalpha on the next line. So I see out boolalpha. After that, it's going to give me false in text, false. Not false, I do a not false, it gives me true. So what you need to do for the next one, look at the example 3. So I want you to use this, and I want you to print true Bool's values only. So what you can do is you can say see out true, see out not false, so you're going to get 1, 1. Then you have the boolalpha, right? And then you can do see out true, see out not false. And you have true, true. Any question? So we wanted to evaluate it to 1, 1 first, right? And then we would do boolalpha, and we would see out true and then not false. Return 0, done. Any question? So once you successfully run that program, go ahead and take a screen capture, paste it into the document. You can put it onto this document or you can put it on a separate document. That's up to you.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
do you want the results that are true to be shown as like the text true, or did you want
No, I want it to print true only, meaning that so it needs to show, so it should show 1, 1, true, true.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, right, I can fix this real quick and run it for you real quick. So it would be something like this. Voila. Or you can go in reverse. See out, not false on the top. Same thing. You okay? Any questions? You still need time on this, or can we move on to the next one? Okay. Now, I don't need your CPP program uploaded for your lab, right? I know some of your professor require a zip file with the program, but I don't need that, right? Screen capture is good enough for me. You should save your program so that way you can go back to it and, you know, play with it, edit it, improve it, whatever you wanted to do with it. But we want to apply the concept. In this one, we learn to use boolalpha, we learn to use bool, right? And we learn to use the not operator with it, so that way we can convert the evaluated value 0, 1s to text print true false. Okay. So no objection to moving on to the next one, then I will move on to the next one. Okay. So next we're going to talk about logical operator. And you probably learned this in CIS5, 17A, 18A. But for C++, it's 17A and C and 5. Okay. So in logical operator for C++, and often you would see this applied to control statement, right? Or conditional statement. So what you have is you have the double ampersand to indicate the and. And like we would write a statement like if, right, this and this is true, then we would execute something, you know, we would have the following statement executed. We would use the double pipe for or, okay? So it says here that if both of the operands are non-zero, then the condition becomes true, okay? If any of the two operands are non-zero, then the conditions become true, okay? And then for the not operator, we simply just use the exclamation point, just like the other one. And it says it uses the reverse logical state of its operand. If the condition is true, then the logical not operator will make it false. And we saw some of that in the last few example. Okay. So here is the example 4. Okay. So this one, it uses the logical not or, nor. Okay. And you see that coming through right here on this line. Okay. I used to teach 17A. I still do occasionally. So this is a program that we generally created when we go over control statement in 17A. So this one is an example of a program that would check if someone can qualify, right, for based on income and work experience, work years in the job. Okay. So in this one, I simply just have IO stream, so I can have C and C out using namespace std, one main function that contain everything. This is a constant variable because I initialize it at $35,000. That's the minimum income. So we want to qualify someone, let's say for loans or a car loan or whatever it is, right? Then we want to qualify them at the minimum of $35,000. And then we would have a constant int. This is the minimum of years that they have to work, which is initialized at 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask the user to input the income, what they make yearly. And so here's the double income that's going to store the user input. Then on the next one, on the next variable, this is int years. That's going to store the number of years that they've been at their job. Okay. So on line 12, I simply prompt the user, what is your annual income? And then whatever they type in, it's going to record it and it's going to store it into the income variable. And then again, I prompt the user, how many years have you worked at your current job? We're going to see in and store that into years. Now down here, right? The condition that we want to qualify them for is that they can meet, so it says if not income is greater and equal to min income, which is $35,000, or years is greater than min years, which is 5. Okay. So if I input $20,000 a year for the income, it won't meet, it's gonna be not, it's gonna meet what, it's gonna be less than this condition, so it's not gonna meet this criteria. So that's not true. Okay. If I put in 2 years of my experience, then it's also gonna not meet this condition. Okay. So let me run the program so you can see what I mean by this. So here's the program written out in C++. Okay. And we want to qualify the user based on their income. So let's say that I make less than the requirement. Okay. But I've worked there for more than 5 years, 7 years. I qualify because it met this condition. So the or, in the or, only one needs to be true. Okay. Because I have put in 7 years, what it did was, because of the if it's true here, right, then it qualifies me for the loan. Now, when you're using the AND operator to tie those together, what will happen is that it needs to both be true. Like if I put in the double ampersand, so I have to have a higher income than $35,000, and I have to have more than 5 years of work in my current job. Okay, so the or, as long as one piece is true, one part is true, because it's in the if statement, it's gonna qualify me. Okay, so now what we would have is we would have this to qualify. And yes, we can make this program a little bit more intuitive, right? We can make it more, we can specify more things, but this is how you can see. So what this is an example. It says, in the above example, the logical not or operator to use condition to qualify loan for applicants based on minimum number of income years in the current employment. Refer to example 4, create a program that used a not or to determine the student had earned an associate degree by completing 60+ credit or 5+ semesters as a full-time student. So you're using that template, which is the example. So instead of min income, you can say min credit, and then we initialize that at 60. And you don't have to use double for that. You can use int because, you know, usually credits are whole. Okay. So you have const int min credit equals 60. Okay. Const int min semester equal, and it tells you 5 semester plus. So we have to be greater or equal to 5. Right? And then you can say, you know, int credit, int semester. So that way when you ask the student, you would say, see out, how many credits have you earned? See in credit. See out, how many semesters have you completed? See in semesters. If not, credit greater or equal to min credit or semester greater, you can do greater and equal to min semesters. See out, you earn an associate degree. Or here, you did not earn you have to have at least so many credits. And then the qualified area, you can say that you earn associate degree. So we just have to change up the variable a little bit, right? And then we can write in the if statement using not or. So we would take that program and then change it up to make sure that we fulfill the criteria, right? We want to have 60 credit plus, so greater and equal to 65 semesters for full-time students. So if they qualify, they get an associate degree. If they didn't meet that criteria, you would prompt you have to have 60 credit or, right, 5+ semesters as a full-time student. So technically, if you do 12 units, 12 credit per semester, right, if you time that by 5, that technically should give you 60 or higher. Okay, so either way, we would be able to check the condition. Okay. So here's the program again. And you can use the screen capture that I provided as well. So make sure we check syntax, the curly braces, the semicolon. If it's a constant variable, it needs to be const. And for the assignment, you can just use int, you don't have to use double. Throughout teaching programming classes, I see that many beginning students in programming, they struggle with understanding and or in if statements, or if you use that in the control statement. So practice, right, and test the output and see when you change one operator to the other, what is really the output, so you can see why, what part of the criteria did it meet. Does it meet both? Does it meet one or the other? How does that work, different operators? Okay. Any questions? Okay. So we only have one more to go after this. Okay, I don't want to rush you, but there's still a lot of time. We have close to an hour. Okay. If you have questions, please ask. So once you're done with the program for the 60 credit plus 5 semester plus, right? Take a screen capture of that, paste it to the document, and you can submit that document when you're done with all the tasks.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
Could you explain the NOR operator again?
Okay, so here's my if statement. So
Yes.
it says if not income greater and equal to min income, or years greater than min years, see out, you must earn. Why do I use not here? Well, if it's not greater than, then it's less, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why we would use the not operator here. And we want the applicant to meet the minimum income, which is $35,000, or the 5 years. So most loan company, they would qualify based on the longevity of your work, because they know that you will still make money, even though you might not meet, they just increase the interest or whatnot. So in this case, I want either one of them is true, then I would qualify that applicant. Okay. But the reason why we would use not here is because if it's not greater than, then it must be less than. So if I put in $20,000, then it's less than 35. So it says that, so I didn't qualify for one condition, but because I'm using the or, if I meet the second condition, then it qualifies me. Okay. So if you want the applicant to meet both conditions, you would use the and. Okay. But we would still have to use the not here, is because we use the greater than and equal symbol here and greater than here. So we want it to be, anything less. If it's not greater, then it must be less. And if it's less, it's not qualified. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to read it by piece, right? So you say, oh, if it's not greater than, then it's less, right?
So
So
this
if
is like a two competition.
to what?
So it's like a two condition. Once you meet
Yes.
either one, it
Either
works.
one of the two, yes.
Okay.
So if I'm using the less than symbol here, so let's say I change it up and I said income is less than and equal to $70,000, right? So let's, like electric company and utility company, they qualify people for low income package, right? Like you get a different rate if you're under $50,000 as a household income. So what I can do with that is I can say if, right, income is, and then I can take away the not, greater than and equal to $50,000, or, right, let's say household is less than 4 people, then, so you can change it up based on what condition that you need to meet. Okay. So if I take away the not in this case, what will happen is it won't be able to check for anything greater than equal to the minimum income. So if I put in $20,000, it won't be able to check for that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to take away this and I'm going to let you see it, how it's, let me stop it and run it so you can see. So I took away the not, right? And let's say if I do $40,000, right? And I work for 4 years, okay? So what it does, it tells me, oh, both of these are less. I must earn over $35,000, right? And more than 5 years. So what happened is So if income is greater and equal to min income, which is $40,000 is greater than $35,000, it still meets that, right? Because it's greater than $35,000. So but it fails in the other one that it's less than minimum 5 years. Okay, so it says that I have to do this or have been employed. So technically, this statement is not completely true with that the not, because in this case, we can't separate one from the other. Okay.
Oh, so if you get rid of the not, so
It should qualify me, right? It should qualify me because I earn over $35,000. Okay, because in the condition it says I have to have $35,000 or I've been employed by 5 years. So when I took away the not, it didn't qualify me.
oh, so you have to meet both conditions.
Yeah, in this case now it becomes both condition. Yes.
Yeah.
Now if I change this to and, whoops, and I have to change it back because, right? So let's do the same, right? 4 years. Okay. So what we have is we have here $40,000 greater than the minimum income, check. Okay. Now when we have the years, the minimum years I specify is 5, but the user input 4. It qualifies me as this is true, so it disregards this. Okay. Now you can do it this way without using not or. Okay. Now with the cout, you know, so let's say that if I do, let me run this again and let me, oops. So it's failing. So sometime REPL does this. Let me see, 400. Oh, yeah, sorry. I had entered the 4 somehow in between. So let's run this. So if my annual income is $70,000, right? And I meet the 5 years, it still qualifies me. If my annual income is $17,000, and with my current years of my job, let's say I have 5 years, it still qualifies me, because what happens is when it gets here, okay, it checks that this is true, then it would allow me. So the other way of doing the not or is to use the and it would get you to what you want for the qualification. Now, if you want both, then you would have okay, so if I make $20,000 in 5 years, why is it doing that? So if this is greater than, so it doesn't meet it there. Yeah, the and should be the other way around. Yeah, I don't think it's saving as fast as I type it, like REPL. So let me switch it back to this as we have earlier.
Yeah, it's fine. I get the idea.
Yeah, and it needs to actually, for the and, by the rule is that it needs to have both inclusion for the criteria. And the or, I think REPL is not, it's not updating as fast as it should. So when I edit my code, it needs to save it and compile it. So yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any question, any other question with number 4? So we're using the not or.
Yes. Which output did you want? Did you want the output where they qualify or where they don't, or both?
Doesn't matter. As long as I see your code and I would see what you input, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Point is that you would know how to apply logical operator in your programming. So in our class, like we would have programs like that, right? For example, my student write the blackjack program. You have to apply logical operator for the blackjack program because, you know, you dealt a hand, and that hand, if it's less than 21, then, you know, if it's under 17, then you have to hit, right? It depends on the rule, different type of blackjack, but if it's soft 17, if you're under 17, you have to hit. So you would have to apply the logical operator there. And you see this on casino machines, and they always need engineers and developers to maintain and, you know, write program for those slot machines that you see, Keno, all those, right? It's a huge industry too. Okay, example 5. So this one uses the AND operator again to qualify for the interest. It's similar to that. Okay, so I'll open the program so I can explain this. So I actually created this, I modified it from the example program. So what you do is you use this program, which is, it qualifies for loan based on whether you graduated from college, and if you're a recent grad. And so you would use that example and you would qualify for car insurance discount. But I did one for car insurance discount, so I'll show you. Okay. So as you know, right, you're trying to get insurance. A lot of the times they would say that, well, is the driver over 21, because that shows maturity and also experience in driving. And then, you know, and then how many years have you been driven? So it has to be 5 years or more to get a discount. So here I have include IO stream using namespace std. I use the main function. Now we're going to input yes or no. So I simply use char type for over 21. That's my variable name. For years of driving, right? Basically, we're also going to ask, have they been driven for more than 5 years or not? Now, you can use int for this, and then you can have them see in how many years have they been driving, and then you can check for the numerical value, whether it's like what we did in the previous one. If it's greater than 5 years, then you qualify them. If it's less than 5 years, then you disqualify them from the discount. But I simply use char for both, so it's just yes or no answer. Okay, so I have answered the following questions with either yes or for Y for yes and N for no, and I use capital for this. And you guys know that ASCII evaluates capital upper and lowercase differently, right? It comes in as Y and N, but it actually interprets that. It evaluates it to a value based on the ASCII table. So when we see out, right, are you older than 21? The user is going to say yes or no. Then we record that into our variable. Then we see out again, have you been driving for more than 5 years? And then we would record the answer in years driving. So we can say if over 21 is yes, and years of driving is yes, then you qualify for a special discount. Else, they have to meet the criteria. You must be older than 21 and have 5 years or more driving experience. So we want both. Okay. So here we can test it. Are you older than 21? Yes. Yes. So I qualify for insurance. Now let's try it with the no. So I qualify, I'm older than 21, but I've been driving for 2 years. So that makes me disqualify, right? Even though I'm older than 21, I didn't drive for more than 5 years, so I disqualify. Okay, so with the and, it needs to meet both conditions. Okay. All right. So that's what you need to do for number 5, is to create a program using the AND operator, the logical AND, to check if the user is qualified for car insurance based on 21 years of age and 5 years of driving. Now we can convert this to the last program where we would use number input, but I used the char. And then I didn't do the input validation for this one. So if they type in a lowercase y, right? So if you want, you can add that as well. And that kind of make your program a little bit better. So if they type in a lowercase y, it's equal to capital Y. So you just have to add the if. Some language is better than other with that, right? But a lot of times you still have to put in the condition if for input validation. And always input validate. Don't assume that the user type in the right thing. And on the security end, that is a way that we can control scripts and injection that will come in through application. I don't know if you got some details last time, but I do have a company that's looking for interns, and that company is located in Temecula. The other company is looking for temp IT support help desk, and the second company that's looking for temp people part-time, that would be in Riverside. So if you're interested, send me your most updated resume, meaning that you should include all the classes and all the knowledge that you recently acquired and completed. Okay. An internship opens for computer science and other major outside of IT as well. I do work with a lot of the security students, but they always ask for developers or students that help them with their websites or with troubleshooting some of the code or testing software, etc. I have 2 interns now that on the Cascade, they're testing military cameras. It's really cool. So it's both software and hardware. And then they have to write the instructions on how to use it. So it's using image recognition to recognize who's a military personnel and who's not. And this is for terrorist type database. They can't go in depth with me on it because I only advise the interns. So, but we do have opportunity like that. Oh, I forgot to put in the smart form link, and I will try to do that maybe tonight. So you can still apply for Cascade. I think we still open until next June. It's about $15 an hour. It's a paid internship through Cascade.
Is Cascade the internship?
Yeah, it's a grant that a few faculty and I got from the Department of Defense. The interns work with small businesses that were awarded or contracted with the Department of Defense. So the interns going into the internship, they must pass background and they have and the companies, they select the interns. What we do is we pre-screen and we prep the students, and then we send the company the resume of the students and the application, and then based on that they would pick how, you know, the number of students that would fulfill the task that they look for. Some stuff is easy, some stuff is a little bit more challenging. A lot of them in, you know, and it has to have some security emphasis because it's DoD. So whether you're testing and then to, you know, help them improve the security platform, or you writing documentation, or you doing authentication. So, and then I have other internship and apprenticeship program that we're working on for spring. So right now we have a few companies that are interested. So
Is there any opportunities for data science?
you know, I want to expand the computer science with data science, and we're working on that, but it's a 2-year process to get stuff through state chancellor approval. So I started writing one course, but yeah, I do see some analytics opportunity, and I can ask them a little bit more. But a lot of the times they start you with the basic task first, and then they build you up to analytics. And you know, so if you're thinking of, you know, using programming languages for data analysis and stuff, yeah, there will be opportunity for that as well. I have a VR company that was interested, but they haven't gotten to the phase of security yet. But they do ask for like students with JavaScript, students that know how to do like, you know, JS, and some data, because what they do is they're trying to build their you know, I guess data baseline for how the user would interact with the VR system. And the VR is actually for military, it's not for regular use. So any questions? Okay. Okay, so once you finish the program, take your screen capture. So this week we're only doing screen capture. So I need you to submit a document with your screen captures. Upload that onto Canvas. Let's see what else. And then if you're not done, you can continue this and work on it, and then make sure you get it submitted before by Saturday. I think I open it for the due date. And then I will grade unit 2. Normally it's a week turnaround for me during the semester, because during the summer when I teach online classes, I'm a little bit less busy as far as teaching. So I usually try to get things graded within the week, but sometimes during the semester it gets a little crazy. So we just got work today. We articulated for Python with UCR. It was approved. So down the line, if you wanted to take Python class, because I pulled their catalog and I submitted it, I resubmitted it with the articulation officer, and we got word yesterday that it got approved. UCI, and UCI has Python now, UCLA, Cal Poly Pomona. So Python is a good language to learn if you're looking to take another programming class. It's not part of your ADT, but it's good to get for credit, so you don't have to take that class in the university, and you can go into more advanced Python like data structure, or even higher like data analysis if you're doing data science, data analysis with Python. Okay. Okay, I'll be on for a little bit to answer questions. If you're done already, please type in your full name in the chat, because sometimes I see your device get on Zoom, and when I pull the report, it's your device name or whatever you name it to, whatever username you created, so I don't know who's who. And I try to pull attendance through participation lists along with looking at some chat to match up. And if you're not on both lists, then you're not counted here. Okay. But you can still submit the assignment, of course, just. Any question?
Professor,
Yes.
I feel like I did the code correctly, but for some reason it's not going into my if statement.
Okay.
Like it
Like
keeps
it exiting before if statement?
going to the else statement on the bottom, like no matter what I put in.
Do you mind screen sharing? So I can see, or do you don't want to do that? Like I have to.
Maybe you have a semicolon at the end of the if. A usual mistake.
Yeah, like something here.
Yep.
Sometimes students would do that. Yeah, you don't need a semicolon after the condition statement.
How do I? Because I keep putting yes, and let me see if I can share my screen.
Hold on. Let me unshare and then I will enable security for you to share. Okay, give me a second. Okay, you're good now. Go ahead.
Search and share.
Click share screen group, the green button on your Zoom. There you go. Oh, because you have int year driving and then driving is Y. Change.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it should be like a
Char.
char.
Yeah. You don't have to put char there, but yeah, because the way I use it is I had the comma, but yeah, that char is good there.
Oh, that's probably what it was. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh, wrong type. Wrong
Oh.
type.
Oh, the insurance, right?
Yeah. So, good. Yeah. So
Okay.
just the wrong data type that you had. So if you want int years driving there, then you have to say const int year driving initialize at 5, right? You see what I mean? Like on line 7, if you wanted to use int years driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to have a minimum, like the last one, you have to say const minimum min
greater.
years driving is 5, and then in the if statement you have to say greater and equal to min years driving. Yeah. So that is like the last one we did. But in this one, because we just asked them for yes or no.
Hello?
Sorry, I think on my other laptop it was just I don't know. I lost connection on it, but try to reboot it now. So if you have questions, let me know. You're welcome. Set this. Okay, so it says, why is it when you're not an unsigned integer, it will be approximate max? So Albert, are you asking about unsigned integer in a specific exercise or? Okay, like the earlier exercise, the first one, that was, yeah. And also you can make it where it's just positive value, positive integer. So you would use unsigned. But technically when you do an int, it could be signed or unsigned, negative or positive. So if you want only to look at only positive value, then you would do an unsigned int. Okay, so if you do an int, then it can be either negative or positive. So in the case where we did the first exercise, we say unsigned, right? Int, that just saying that we're only going to use positive number there. And you can say sign int, then you would use negative number there. What type casting? No, I think if it's just you want specific number type or a, you know, the subset of that data type. So 0 and above for unsigned.